You rolling?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Eddie on the Go.
The other consideration for finding an apartment in which to live or to rent is a fiador, a cosigner. If you don't have any history in Colombia, any credit history, any transaction history in Colombia, you're gonna have to have a fiador, which is a cosigner who's usually a local. Usually, not always. I was lucky because my cosigner was my friend Christian, who's from the U.S. like me, but he's been here much longer than I have.
Okay.
And he has history here, and they based my approval on his history. Okay, but you definitely need a cosigner, and be prepared with enough money for 6 months rent up front, because that helps sway the decision. Oftentimes,
Money talks.
Money talks, as you know, and this is they should just make that the slogan of the country. Money talks, because that's how you get shit done in this country most of the time, is throw money at the problem.
Right.
Throw money at them and you get stuff done. So having 6 months rent up front usually helps. So A, be prepared to walk around to find a place. It's not going to be so easy to find a place. B, if you do hire a middleman to do the search for you and to find you a place in a streamlined manner, be prepared to pay a premium and or gringo price. 3, be prepared to, if you don't have any history in Colombia, which most likely you don't, if you're watching this video, you probably don't, be prepared to have a fiador or a cosigner, right, who's usually a local with good credit. And 4, be prepared to have at least 6 months rent up front. If you have a year's rent up front, even better. They see money and their eyes light up, as you know, this is Colombia. So keep those 4 things in mind, and you'll increase your chances of renting a place in Colombia. As far as buying, I haven't found a place to buy quite yet, because I've been doing a lot of research and trying to find what works for me. And I thought at first I'd get a standalone house and remodel it, but I don't think I want to live on the ground floor. I want to live up on a building. So,
Less noise.
yeah, less noise, more ventilation.
Oh yeah.
And in a building, I'll have security. I'll have more support if something goes wrong, because then administration will take care of it usually. So I'm going to look for a place, but for now I haven't found a place, partly because trust issues.
Yeah.
I've heard so many bad stories about people investing and buying a property, and turns out they bought somebody else's property, or it's
Oh
fake.
yeah, that happens in Panama too.
Yeah, so one has to be careful. But the first step is to come and live here and rent here and get through that and understand if it's worth investing or not.
Yeah.
Many of the listings are uncontactable, meaning you send messages or you call and nobody answers and nobody responds to messages.
Again, do you want to rent the thing out or not?
You want my money. It's like,
right.
What many people do and what I did with some success last year was I had to walk around. I had to go to the neighborhood where I wanted to live.
Look at signs.
And walk around and look at signs and take pictures of signs and start making calls and sending texts. A very arduous and needlessly manual and somewhat stressful way to search for a place to live, unfortunately. I could give you a whole bunch of reasons why I think things are the way they are right now, but I'll tell you this much, it's not because technology doesn't exist. It's not because of that. It's a cultural thing, it's a social thing. It's just not easy to find a place to rent. So, at least not to rent at regular prices. If you want to be gringo priced, if you want a place quickly, if you want a more streamlined, straightforward way to get an apartment, you can go to Medellin and find a few of the few, I don't know there any honest agents in Colombia, you're gonna find a few people who do this for a living, and they'll find you a place, but you will be gringo priced. That's just a given, because you're paying for the convenience of consistency of finding what you want, or finding a place.
Having a middleman.
Having a middleman,
Reliable.
you don't have to walk around the streets during your lunchtime or walk around at night trying to look at a place at night, see if it's safe, and only do like 2 or 3 places per day. You won't have to do that, right? But be prepared to be gringo priced. And going a step back, when you first come here, expect to pay a premium to Airbnb. You're gonna have to stay in an Airbnb for at least a month, maybe 3 months, because that's how long it's gonna take you to find an apartment. Unfortunately, it's not the USA where you can find an apartment in 2 days.
Sure, if you're lucky. Well,
Yeah.
depending on where you're at.
Right. But it's more streamlined, more straightforward. They put the actual price on the website. You know what you're getting. Here, not so much. Here, you have to call and this and that, and you might get different prices depending on who answers the phone. You might get different prices depending on who calls. If they hear a Colombian on the other line, they're gonna give you a local price. They hear a gringo on the other line, they're gonna try to gringo price you, and so on.
That's why I've seen people recommend having a local friend to help out with the process. You know what they do in Panama that was interesting to learn about is you can have agents on each end, like the renter and the whatever, and everybody's trying to get a piece, not just one guy, but 2.
You have more opportunities to practice language.
Bingo.
Opportunities to understand the culture a little bit more, to interact with the locals, to see how the regular people think, not just how the rich folks in the rich part of town think.
Because right now, wouldn't you call that an Estrado 5 where I'm living?
Like either 4 or 5.
Because that place,
I'm in a 4 here.
Okay, that place is 2 apartments to each floor. It's like 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, something like that. Plus she has a studio room, which she rents out. And then the other 2 places that I was in, that were around the corner from where we ate.
Yeah.
That was a 1 bedroom, and it had a washer and dryer.
Yeah.
The last one I went to didn't, which is what a major convenience having a washer and dryer is. Yeah, I know. So please describe for us, from your experience being here, how would you compare the cost of living between Colombia and the United States? And you spent time in other cities. How would you compare Barranquilla versus the other cities that you've visited recently?
Okay. That's a great question. Now keep in mind that this my information is based on just me.
Yeah, your personal experience. That's what I'm asking for.
Okay.
Because you're a person of color.
Yeah, the research I've done online before I moved here, and the numbers I wrote down based on living here. So I have a very, very good idea what the relative cost of living is. Okay, so I would say, por lo general, in general, Colombia is way less expensive than USA. That's probably very obvious. What may not be so obvious is that there are certain cities in Colombia that are way more expensive than other cities in Colombia. So depending on your budget, where you want to live depends on your budget and your preferred lifestyle. Barranquilla is on the coast. It's one of the less expensive cities. Very close to it is Santa Marta, which is almost as inexpensive, about the same, I would say, except with less amenities. It's less developed. Cartagena is on the opposite side. It is probably the most expensive city in Colombia, simply because there is this mass of tourists and expats and sexpats who go there, and so all the prices there are inflated. Speaking of inflated prices, then we have Medellin. Lots of expats there, but it seems to me that it's more affordable than Cartagena in certain areas. Everybody who's watching this probably knows about the El Poblado area.
El Poblado and La Rores.
Yeah, so those areas are kind of very, very overpriced because, especially El Poblado, is just freaking overpriced for no goddamn reason.
Gringo prices.
gringo land, as they call
Yeah,
it. Gringo land.
gringo prices.
There are
Raising it
literally
up.
even some prices there that are comparable to San Francisco prices.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
surprised.
crazy because of all the stupidity of some of the expats who show up with wads of money. Just
So they know you can they can overcharge.
So yeah, the locals going to overcharge, but that's probably been covered by other channels, so I won't go into that,
Yeah,
into that now.
right.
But so you have Medellin, which is, I would say, in general, mid-priced. Then Bogota is also a little bit mid-priced, although a little bit more expensive, but not as expensive as Cartagena. And then the other city I visited was Cali. Cali is a slightly more pricier than Barranquilla, but still less pricey than Medellin, and definitely less pricey than Cartagena. Again, each city has rich parts and poor parts, and you can definitely be gringo priced if you act foolish. You can also get good deals if you look around, if you know what you're looking for, especially when it comes to places to live. Okay, so yeah, I would say in order of cost of living, at the top is Cartagena, followed by Medellin, followed by Bogota, followed by Cali, followed by maybe Santa Marta and Barranquilla, about the same. I've not yet visited cities like Bucaramanga or cities in the Coffee Triangle like Armenia. I haven't been there yet. So
Barrera and
yeah,
those
so
other ones.
if I ever visit there, then I'll have more numbers to share.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the food here in Colombia? How would you compare the food and restaurants overall in Barranquilla with the food and restaurants in the other cities here in Colombia that you've been to?
Well, okay.
This is what my second favorite subject we're touching on today, really.
I know, and I have a whole journal article about this, but I'll give this summary so I don't spend the whole interview talking about it. So I would say in general, Colombia is not a food culture. They're not known for tasty cuisine. They're not even known for loving cooking. In general, the culture is all about eating for sustenance, not joy or pleasure. So the food reflects their culture. It's very simple. The typical,
like a lot of Latin American,
Yeah.
like Central American countries,
the typical
poor.
Yeah,
so
the
they,
poor.
they eat basic stuff just to keep them.
Just to keep them alive, to keep
Yeah.
them going. So it's very unimaginative, uncreative, very simple, they just seem to lack imagination. And it's not just in food, in many things as well, but this question it's about food. The local food is pretty bland. In fact, it at times for me as a West African and Nigerian, raised with.
And I just tasted something delicious he made this morning.
I
so
cooked this morning.
African people know what the fuck.
West African.
What they're doing. Yeah, okay. We talked about that. Okay, go on.
Togo, Liberia, Nigeria.
Yeah.
So we know what's up. And so having the palate for Thai food, Indian food, Nigerian food, Liberian food, and then comparing it with Colombian food, it's like, the example I give is like the first time I ate typical food in Cartagena in 2021, real talk, I don't know if I told you this, real talk, I thought I had gotten COVID.
Because you thought you lost your taste, sense of taste.
My sense of taste. I said, oh shit, I have COVID because I lost my sense of taste. When I asked the waitress some hot sauce, I could taste the hot sauce. Well, they had some, just a little bit of hot sauce. I could taste it. I'm like, oh, my taste buds are fine, most likely.
It was what you were served.
What the fuck is this food? Also, the
cheese-filled dough.
Also, the patacones, which is some kind of mashed fried plantain. It felt like cardboard, and I swear, as a baby, as a toddler, I did eat cardboard when I was a toddler, so I know what cardboard tastes like. This tasted like cardboard.
Wow.
No lie. I remember being a little kid, and like kids do eating shit.
Sure, yeah.
I remember that. I'm like, this fucking reminds me of my childhood in a bad way. It tastes like cardboard. So all this to say, the typical cuisine is not, don't come here if you're looking for tasty, amazing food. No, it's very typical, very simple, tasteless, bland food. If you're West African, if you're Indian, if you're Thai, you're going to get angry. Okay? But the good news, and there's good news, the good news is the stores sell spices. The stores sell spices.
But here in this region, the foods that I've eaten, like in Panama, like in the islands on the Caribbean side, it's all the stuff that was influenced by African people, the Afro-Caribbeans. They had the spicy, the more flavorful stuff, the delicious sauces. That's what I came here looking for, and I found a few places that are kind of like that, but most of it's like the paisa type cooking, whatever, you know, that's just the basic stuff.
Yeah, and and it's like, I don't understand why they don't even put fucking salt in the damn thing. Put some damn salt in the food, but they just don't even salt it.
And I guess it's a cultural thing.
We just came back from a restaurant.
Interesting perspectives, aren't they? This concludes part 2 of my interview with Chinedu Opara. Stay tuned for part 3. We'll see you next time. Ciao.